All right. Let's see. Okay, today is day number 275 and very impromptu like, but I was thinking like, is there one very specific thing I can do because um I kind of want to have like a specific goal for stream today. So I think I can go through the process of creating a fork and so creating a fork from a repository, um, making some changes to your fork, and then submitting a pull request. I think I can do that loop. Um, so that's my goal. I didn't really plan this out, but I want to go through this process anyways. For I can actually basically take advantage of the fact that um, some of my projects are in other organizations on GitHub, so those are technically their own repository. My account could actually fork from those repositories, so I think that should work. That's what I'm going to. That's what I'm going to try to do. So it can be semi-educational if it goes smoothly. It can be educational either way, but ideally if it's more straightforward, then I should be able to show the process. So, famous last words. Should I go here? Yeah. Okay. So let me see. My thought process. So I have this repository here, which is this is where we are putting material for the bootcamp. This is under an organization, so this, even though I have access to it, this is not under my personal account. So hypothetically, let me see. I should be able to fork. Yeah, I should be able to fork this. onto my account, which is going to give me a copy of that same repository. You are creating a fork in your personal account. Yep. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna walk that back so I can make my fork. I'm trying to think. So, the basic workflow usually goes like you can make a fork of the repository that you want to work with, and then on that repository, a lot of times you have to actually submit or you have to create a branch and work off of a branch. And then from there, you need to submit your PR back to the main repository. So in this case, this would be the main repository. I'm going to create a fork. That fork is going to exist on my own personal account. And then then I'll do the rest of the work on behalf of my personal account. The only thing that can be a little bit quirky with my setup is that trying to think, like, I guess the commits and everything should work out the way that they're supposed to. I don't know. I'm just thinking if my local setup will have any weirdness, but it shouldn't. So let's just do it. Okay, so let me see. I technically, let me go to my terminal. I already have this repository open. Clear. So, hold on. Let me see. I already had this one. If I go up. Okay. Right. So in this directory right here, I should have. Yeah. Here's the freeCodeCamp Bootcamp. So this is the official version of it. Like, this is on the organization page. So I have that one, but I'm going to actually end up making my own, forking my own to my personal account. So I'm just going to clone that one directly here in the repos folder for now. I don't have any organization for my personal. All right, so let's see. All right, so I can come here. I have SSH set up for my GitHub access locally, so I have to clone from the SSH URL. But if you're using HTTPS, you need to use this version instead, because there are different protocols. Or if you happen to use the CLI, then they have their own command as well. I might have to try that out. I don't think I've. I might have to try that out. Hold on. Just leave that there. Okay. So, anyways, I'm cloning from here. I got too many windows open. Let's see. I don't want none of this stuff. And actually, let's do this too. Oh. I know what I can do. I'm just doing this real quick because Hacktoberfest. I want to see something too. All right, so let's see. Did I copy this? I'm copying this. I'm going back to the terminal. Yeah, I'm going to clone this here. So it should make my new folder. So this one is different from the one that I saw before. The one I saw before is the one that belongs to the actual organization page. So this is mine now. Let me see. All right. So I'm gonna open this in VS Code. Okay. VS Code. All right. So that opened automatically for me. There is a VS Code has like a shell command, or you can install the command so that way you can just say code in terminal or whatever command line you use, and then you can open projects. I can never remember how to set it up though, but if you Google it, it's easy to find. Let me see. Okay, so let's open the terminal. All right, so here, let's see. I want to do something different. Hold on. Nope, leave this here. Okay. All right, so I'm make it a little bit bigger, I guess. Not that big. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a branch off of main, and that's where I'm going to contribute all of my changes to. So, and before I do this too, let me see, because we were just reading, I'm trying to figure out if whose contribution guidelines was I reading yesterday? I'm curious if they have something for y'all to follow. I would think so. Hold on. So hypothetically, there's a how-to here. I'm just seeing, do they have like 5 things for your first time contributing? Do they have like a actual doc for, let's do this one. Work the repository, create the branch. Yeah, so this is the guide that they point people towards. So I'm going to follow more so whatever their recommendations are. But I mean, this is like pretty much what I was about to do. So fork the repository, and then create your branch. And then once you are like making your changes, you go ahead, you push, and then you can actually open up a pull request on GitHub. And then they have this. Okay. Okay, so they have like all the info for syncing up the fork as well. That's helpful. So, anyways, all right, let's go back. So, yeah, let's make. I want to make a branch. I can do like git checkout dash b. What do I need to do here? What's like the next thing I can work on? I could create some files because that's necessary. And then I actually wonder too. This boy, I had an issue in here. Certification projects need to be reformatted in the main repo. README. When visiting the repo, projects that are listed back to back are displayed on a single line. Oh, okay. So this is basically saying in the README, these are all projects, but it's not formatted right. None of my projects are, I'm not going to say none of them, but a lot of my projects aren't formatted right though. Because this one is right, but this is not. So I can do that. I can just pick up this. I could just pick up this issue. And sign myself. Make sure I'm working on the right version. All right. So let's go back. So it's really a fix. Okay. So that's the branch I'm gonna make. Fix project descriptions, and all right, so the main things I needed to do, I kind of know what was wrong with this file. This all is in Markdown, so the formatting matters a lot, like white space matters a lot. These need to be on their own line. That's the problem. Like that. That's why those are running together. Even though I wrote that issue myself, I'm glad I like at least put a little description because it made it easy for me to figure out what I was talking about. All right. Wait, does it go further down? Yeah, it does, actually. And then you got this. All right, let's save that. Okay, so let me do a status. Only thing it changed is this one file. Let's see, git. Oh wait, you know what I should do before I commit? Just to be safe, because I didn't actually think that that's what happened the first time. I should preview this. You should definitely always always check your changes. If it was like a code base, I'll probably have a test suite I have to run or something like that. So yeah, I think it looks better now. That looks right. Okay, so see, fix the font. Are we doing modules? Yeah, modules. All right. It's not gonna push all the way. I had to set upstream. Yeah, which is fine. Always just copy it. Okay, so back on GitHub, I think I could tag an issue. Hold on, let's see. Let's go back to the repository. I feel like I could have put the. I think there's a way to put the issue number in the commit, but I could be making that up. But I think that that's a thing too, where it will automatically grab it. But it's okay because, um, so I am here on the actual main repository, right? So this is the one under MetaDev World. That's not my personal one. This is the original. Um, GitHub automatically detects when you make changes to a branch, or even when you make changes to a branch, GitHub automatically detects that. And like in this case, even though this is not my actual repository that I originally pushed to, um, it recognizes like, hey, you might want to actually submit a pull request to this repository as well. So you'll automatically see this typically pop up like right after you push. So that can be helpful. Otherwise, if not, um, you can always. I'm trying to figure out. Remember, if I was on another repository, um, yeah, then instead I would just go to the pull request and hit new, and then from there you can choose the branches. Choose from the right fork, and you can choose the branch. So in this case, yeah, they'll do this automatically for me. I think I can mention. So this is asking to merge um this branch that I pushed over into main here. Let me double check one thing too, just for my own sanity. Um, I really never like to assume that everything is going exactly how I think it is. You should double check stuff. So just to be safe, if I come here, where's my fork? Hmm? Oh yeah, I'm confused. I expect to see my repo. Why is it only showing July in the first place? Okay, I know I'm not tripping. I created the fork, right? And then I took. Okay, one thing to look at is, let's see, if there is a fork, I should be able to see it from here. I never forked it. So what did I clone? The original. This is okay. Um, so I just pushed this here. Wow, that's a complete. How am I doing? I don't even know because I just tricked myself into a whole little process, but that's fine. We can run it back. I somehow didn't finish the forking process. No, I did fork it. No, I didn't because it says it's available. Okay, that's funny. Okay, warm up over. Now we about to do it for real. We about to do it for real. That's so funny. I just cracked myself up, honestly and truly. Gotta go watch the news. Thank you for stopping in. Basically, I was just trying to go through like a roughly go through forking a repository, making a branch, pushing some changes, and then opening a PR. Um, I somehow skipped making my fork though, so yeah, this is like my last ditch effort at the end of the day to really try to be productive and I'm not sure if it's working, but it's entertaining nonetheless. Um okay, so I guess I guess we could run that back. Um that's crazy. Reading is fundamental. Mm-mm-mm. Okay. All right. So the first thing I'm gonna do, well, let me not confuse myself. And then how do I check up streams again? Cause I cloned this. That's definite. Like I absolutely cloned the original repository. Like literally, that's it right there. That is so funny to me because I swear I have some level of logic and intelligence, you know. But at the same time, sometimes my brain be oozing out my ears. Um. Okay. All right. Well, one more time. So I'm going to. So basically, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fork this repository. So this is the repository that I want to contribute to, and I'm not going to. This is not what I was trying to do. I'm not going to push the changes directly to the repository. I'm going to create a fork on my personal account. And then from the fork, I will actually create my own branch to work on. I'm going to create the changes. Jesus. I'm going to create my own branch to work on. Then I'm going to make the changes that I need to make, obviously push those, and then I'm going to submit a pull request back to this repository. So this is a very common workflow when it comes to open source. Typically, unless you are like a core maintainer of the project, you wouldn't have like direct access to push to the original repository. So usually we use forks to facilitate the process of being able to collaborate right with another organization, so they can have their own permissions and restrictions over who who can push and pull directly to the project. But through a fork, you can actually submit an outside request and let them review it. And then if they, so, most times it's actually a little bit of a back and forth in the review process, and that's totally normal. So like for example, say you make a change, say you make the updates and then you submit your pull request, and they might ask you to reformat something, or they might ask you about design choice or whatever the case may be. That's a normal part of the process as well. But then once you get to a point where it's like, okay, this is good to go and we're going to merge it into the project, then that's when they would accept your pull request. They'll merge it, rebase it. You can merge, rebase, or I can't even remember the last one right now. What is happening? Okay, my phone was dinging. So, yeah, so I'm basically just taking advantage of the fact that I do have access to this repository directly, so I can work it from both sides just to show a little bit more about um, how that process works. I kind of want to kill this branch though. I'm mad because I made the changes. I made the right changes and did everything good, but I pushed it straight here. Um, and for the sake of the demonstration, I don't want this to be here. And I'm gonna delete that whole repo locally that I just created. So let me clean. Let me clean up. Let me clean up. I think I should be able to go to where? Yeah, go here. And this is where I can nuke this branch and go back. And it's gone now. And then if I go back here, no, yeah, I can go back here. Actually, let's go to VS Code real quick. I'm gonna close this whole window. So, let's see. I am going to get rid of that repository because otherwise it's gonna confuse me. All right, so that should be completely gone. All right, so he's starting fresh. All right, so from here, I am going to fork the original repository. I'm going to fork this one to my account, my personal account, so I can do all the work and submit a PR on behalf of like an outside owner. In this case, I'm just going to copy the main branch only, but if for some reason you need the other branches, then you have to make sure you uncheck this. If there's other branches that are on the repository that you need, then just keep that in mind. But I know it's only the main branch. I'm going to just create a fork. Okay, so now this is my fork. So I can come here to clone. I'm using SSH because that's what I have set up locally, but you can use HTTPS or the GitHub CLI. I think we went through those earlier. So let's go back to the terminal. So here in my repos folder, I'm just gonna clone this project directly here into the folder. So git clone. And I know I know this time I'm cloning from the right spot. So this is my personal account, obviously, and then that's the repository name. So I know I'm actually cloning that one. Now I should be able to go here, and you can see I have this project, and I'm on the main branch, and I can open this one in VS Code now. All right, so the issue we're working on This issue right here, let's go back. Hmm. Okay, so this issue right here says certification projects need to be reformatted in the main repo README. When visiting the repository, projects that are listed back to back are displayed in a single line rather than individual paragraphs. This is an issue in the markdown formatting. So I did actually leave this note for myself just because literally I would have been trying to think about this for a few minutes, but that just gave me like enough info. Um so I already assigned myself to this, but that was under assignees. I just assigned myself. Um, I think you can tag a issue. I think you can. I'll be able to tag this issue in my PR. I almost want to see get commit tag issue. Ooh, I haven't looked at Stack Over. I haven't looked at Stack Overflow in a minute. Ooh wee. The era of the LLM is real. Let me see. I have been listening to their podcast though. I mean, that's a trade off, I guess. Oh, resolves, or fix. Closing issues. Documentation. Linking a pull request to an issue. Closes, closed, fixes, fixed. Is it just the word or do you have to put some? Oh, here's the syntax. Oh, I could say closes number 10. The syntax for closing keywords depends on whether the issue is in the same repository as the pull request. Oh, but you can manually link the pull request. I haven't did some of this in a minute. Okay. But I feel like okay, I'm gonna say like it's gonna be in another repository though. All right. Organize tabs. Are you gonna do it for me automatically? Create. That's the only one you came up with? That was cool, I guess. All right. That was a distraction. I don't know why. Let's come back here. Um all right, so I feel like I was doing so good that I just got distracted. All right, so I am on the main branch. I'm gonna create a new branch. Get checkout. It's like this because I'm doing like shortcuts, but get checkout dash B, and then you can say the branch name. Like I called it fix project descriptions. I'm pretty sure that's like how I described it. Um, okay, something like that. I actually didn't say that, but it's fine. All right. Um, Okay, I should be good to go now. So what I was working on was, or what I was referring to was in this file. Um, I have to go find these lines where I didn't leave enough space. If you want something to be in a paragraph form in Markdown, it has to have its own line. You can't like have back-to-back lines like that. You need a line break in between. That's gonna make this a paragraph. So right now, these line 55 and 56 run together as one line, due to the way that Markdown works. So that's what I'm cleaning up in this file. This boy. Why are you yelling? This kid is crazy. Oh, why would you do that? All right. Making my own life hard. This is absolutely a one day at a time, one step at a time type of thing. I want to start being a little bit more intentional about like having topics and like an area of a focus for the streams, at least most of them. So this is just a little, little dry run, little test run. Okay, so now that we have reformatted this, let's look at it first, just to make sure it looks right. I really overestimate or I'm overconfident in my markdown syntax, so I hardly ever actually check my file first before I push it, which is not a good thing, and I always end up with some weird formatting somewhere. Okay, so that looks fine just at first glance. So get status. Oh no, yeah, I can do it again. Get status. So obviously I made a change to that readme file, so I'm going to add that. And then from here I can commit. Let's see, fix number 1. Let's see. Fix formatting on project. Commit. All right. Then I have to push and set up stream, so I just always copy this, honestly. I do work on, like, every once in a while I remember this off the top of my head, but lately I've been lazy and I just been copying it because I know GitHub, or I know the CLI is always going to prompt me. Okay, so now I actually push this to my personal repository. So if I go back here, you can see see what I was saying, like I was kind of thrown off because I know that the branch, even if I push to a fork, it'll automatically pick that up from the actual repository, but it's just so funny that I skipped the whole forking process. But anyway, so yeah, there's different ways you can open the pull request. So just to show you the example, if I go back to my own personal page here, you can also see that this is my personal version, like this is my fork. I have the option to open up a pull request on this page. This is something that GitHub just kind of automatically prompts you on. And then I will also have the option of opening up the fork um, if I go to the main repository here. So this is where I care to submit my pull request. So as you can see, these this was my this was what tipped me off that I had messed something up. This base repository here is the organization's repository. The head repository is my personal account right here. So I'm asking for the changes I made on my fixed branch out of my personal repository to be merged into the main branch on the organization's repository. So all of these little boxes and the order in which they are listed in actually matters to where you are trying to submit your pull request. And this is something that you'll see. You'll see these like more advanced options like this whenever you have forks from a repository. So you can compare across forks. And you don't have to only compare to the fork, like to the repository you forked from. If other people have forks, they're in the network, you can you can compare to those as well. So, all right, now I don't see. Oh yeah, I think this is. Yep, this is pointing to the issue. Yep, that's pointing to the issue automatically. Okay. So what I put in the description or in the commit, it said fix number 1. So that seems like it does work in picking that up. But I can actually just give a little bit more information about what I actually worked on. So I could just say, see, I fixed the formatting in the nothing crazy, but all right, so yeah, I'm going to create the pull request. Okay. Yeah, so now I have the option to merge those changes into the original repository. So if I needed to make any additional changes, like let's see, if by chance maybe there's something else off that I could have fixed. Maybe let's get rid of this one. Let's get rid of this one random bullet point right here. So how this might look. Let's see. So I'm in here. I can go and review these files. Right, so I can actually see a preview of what all has been changed. So you know, pull request is like a whole process that people have to go through. Somebody typically needs to really like look through your code. Sometimes, not sometimes, a lot of times they need to make sure that the code is running for themselves, test it out. And then you might, like if you have test suites or you have any other type of integrations into the workflow, those might be checking the files and making sure that things are good to go as well. So here, since it's just a markdown file, I can kind of look at it and see, like, okay, those look good. You know, you reformatted this whole thing. But then if I was to, I want to look at the entire file. Let's see. I don't want the diff. Let's go. Files. Reviewing codes. I don't want a code space. No. I'm trying to see. Yeah, I want to see the whole file though. All right. So now I can go through and see a preview of it. So all that looks good. They might be like, oh shoot, might as well clean up this thing right here while we're at it. That's literally that's something that's like could be common to happen. So that was like expand up. I can see the rest of the file lines. In this, if it's a red line, that means it was deleted. If it's a green line, that means it was added. All right. And then everything else is like the same way it was before. So the extra space is like right here, I think. Yeah, so let's do this line right here. Review. I thought I can, hold on, let me see. Yeah, so let's review. Oh, I can't request changes because it's mine, but that's fine. I can just say, let's get rid of the extra. Right, so just put that in the queue. Line 37. So what I'm gonna do is basically go back to my repository. So basically, I need to make a change before the merge can happen. So I can go back to my project where I was here, and the part that I'm trying to change is right here. All right, save that. Make sure the preview looks good. All right, do a status. And say, see removing unused bullet points. Right, so I'm committing that, and now I can push that. And I'm still, this is still my own personal repository, and I'm pushing to my own GitHub repository. But any of those changes should still be reflected. So now you can see I have the new commit right here. It's a part of the conversation flow. So this is the new commit. So now there's 2 commits. So now this file shows this red line, and then obviously the green lines we had before, those were additions. That's the one subtraction. So now let's see. Last thing that's pretty much going to happen at this point is, squash. Either there's a few different ways that your commit can be merged. It could be rebased, squashed, or just creating a merge commit. So that just depends on the preference of the maintainers and how they like to do things. Like I prefer to just rebase it instead of creating a merge commit. I don't like keeping track of merge commits. I'd rather just rebase. So I'm going to rebase this. Let's just make sure. Yeah. I got to figure out these labels, but yeah, so now that's merged. So that actually should have kicked off a build. Let me see. I can delete the branch now. That should have kicked off a build. Other actions. Yeah. And this is why I wouldn't want somebody to be committing directly to the main branch. Because ultimately our main branch is the branch that's live to the world. That is the branch. This page is what comes up when you go to the metadevworld.com, like URL for it. So you want to protect, you typically always have some process to protect that, what you call production, the production environment, the environment that like your users are interacting with and seeing on a daily basis. A lot of times, like this workflow, this is pretty common. If you actually are a maintainer on the project, or you are like, one of the project owners, then, you will probably have access to your own repository. Or over time, right? If you become somebody that contributes to a specific project more often, you might become you might actually be added as a collaborator. But if you're not a collaborator on the actual repository, then you're not going to be able to push directly there. So you can actually maybe get confused if you never did this process before. If you came here and was like, oh, you know what, I want to submit a change, or I want to add a module for them or something like that. You want to come in and you wanted to support, right? If you come here and you clone directly from this organization repository, then you will not be able to push those changes at all, because I would need to come in here and actually have you be a collaborator on the project. So in lieu of just giving anybody, on the internet collaborator access on their repositories, this fork and PR workflow actually, basically helps. And it makes it simple, because even as an outsider, you don't have to have any background with the project. But all you basically what you write, what you commit, what you submit for approval, basically, is, it speaks for itself. And that's why people recommend this as a way of getting more experience and getting spending more time in software development, getting like maybe those first type of opportunities on your resume can come from open source projects. Now, I'm trying to think, I think those are like the main components of that workflow. There's some other intricacies for sure. But at the moment, I think that's the main one to me. So one other thing I want to do I want to see what the requirements are again. Hello? So the project needs to be tagged. Either has to be in that topic or with that label. I was just going to use this as a chance to see if the tracker will update as well. Labels, projects, milestones. This is the issue. Link to pull request. Link a branch. I kind of wanted to. Wait. The pull request was there, but no, it's not. I need to play around with these management features a little more again, but yeah, this takes like 15 minutes. Oh, there we go. We got one waiting. So that means that everything went through successfully as well for the Hacktoberfest tracking. And then I guess I get my badge upgrade whenever I'm done. But here is a little timeout. It says, awesome, your PRMR has been accepted by a maintainer and is now in a 7-day review period. No action is needed, and assuming your PR is still accepted after 7 days, it will count towards your participation in Hacktoberfest. For more information about how exactly we validate PRMRs for contributors, check the details on our participation page. So your PR must be within the bounds of Hacktoberfest, which is October 1st to October 31st. Repos that go against Hacktoberfest values will be excluded from qualification, and PRs made to those repos won't be counted. So I guess that means that they can remove the Hacktoberfest topic from certain repositories or skip over certain repositories that they want to, based on the content of the repository. Then your PR should not be spammy. They look for the labels. They're looking for labels that mark, the maintainers can mark your PRs as spammy. Then your repo has to either say the Hacktoberfest topic, or the label has to have Hacktoberfest accepted on the PR. And then your PR cannot be labeled as invalid. That goes back to the whole spammy thing. And let's see, your PRs must be merged, have the label, or have an overall approving review. So those are the requirements. There's no reason why that should be walked back at all. And that's a long list for a really short amount of actual like check boxes that you have to meet. So you need to submit to a repository that has the Hacktoberfest topic. That's the first place to start, at least for GitHub. So for GitHub, either the repository has to have the Hacktoberfest topic, or let me see, the PR. Is it the PR that has to be labeled? I think it's the PR. Um, yeah. So after, if your PR gets approved, then the maintainer can actually just tag it as Hacktoberfest accepted or whatever it was. So yeah, I think that's the basics of it for now. Um, it's 6:30. It's after 6:30, so I'm gonna get ready for. I'm about to get ready to go chill and eat some dinner. I just realized I have no idea what it's gonna be for dinner, but it's all good. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful. It was a little bit impromptu, but I'm going to try to think of very specific topics I can cover, especially throughout this month. And especially on days like today, where honestly this morning I wasn't in like a good live streaming type of mood. I just needed to like chill and like work independently. Very introvert, very introverted energy this morning. But and then I did get some work done. Then I took like a nap. Well, I didn't really take a nap, but I laid down and rested while Justice took a nap. Um, then I had to get up for a meeting. So after I got back up for my meeting, I was like, okay, we can stream after this. It took me a little bit longer than anticipated, but nothing crazy. But yeah, so hopefully that was helpful. So I'm gonna try to think of other little small streaming segments I can do. And I'm also thinking about um different edited videos that I know I'm supposed to be making for the channel. Like maybe doing some of those during the stream, because I have to go back and edit anyways. But I don't know. It'll bring a little more structure to some of the streams, because especially like the podcast had like a structure to it. And it'll kind of be similar to that. So it might be like, okay, for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes or something like that. I might just go through a specific topic. And then that way later on, I could go back and do my edits and everything. Because I am trying to learn how to work smarter, not harder. I'm like a single person, and I'm trying to expand out like the material that I'm producing. Um, it feels very overwhelming right now, and it's really not. It's a lot of things that I don't love to do. I have to be honest. There's a lot of things I don't love to do. But it's certain elements of like content production that I need to lean into for the actual goals that I have, right? Like I'm kind of at a point now where we can't just like rely on live streams, or even if I do rely on my live streams, because like I like live streaming. I love live streaming. I like learning how to live stream. I like the tech setup of it. I like working on my sets. Like I haven't even finished working out what's all about to happen. I got like so many white walls in here. Like I like working on my sets. I like setting up my tech. I love everything about live streaming. I like going live. Like I prefer to go live because I'm used to teaching. I'm used to speaking. Like I'm used to podcasts even now. Like I'm used to stream of thought type of content, or having an outline. Like as a teacher, I don't have a script, you know what I mean? I'm not very good with scripted content, just because I hate to edit so much. I hate to edit, and scripted content is different because you really try to make it snappy and to the point. So it starts to sound like a ramble. Now on live stream, obviously just talking, having a normal conversation. So I don't know. It is what it is. I don't like to edit. Y'all know I don't like to edit, but I will say this: the one tool I like a lot right now is I like Descript. I like any, because they're not the only people that do this now, but I pretty much like any editor or any editing tool that lets me edit a like edit with the text. So in Descript, if you never, let me see, open Descript. Oh, and we need proof that we were live, right? Don't we need proof? We always need proof. Hold on, I need like a nice screen to be on. Just gotta get a little boomerang, and then we can move on. And then I'm gonna forget what I was talking about in the first place. Okay, so proof that's happened. What's I gonna do? Oh, let me show my screen again. Okay, so I opened it already. Descript is one example. Sign in. Hold on, I'm gonna sign in. Hopefully. Open. Are you done? Are you done? Can I close this? Scared. All right, anyways. This is my 365 days of code update. So I posted this maybe like a month ago, maybe two, a little while. This is what I'm talking about. I like this editor or this editing style because I honestly don't want to sit here and rewatch and re-listen to all my videos from beginning to end, especially not if I'm trying to chop something up from a stream. But well, I don't know. To me it just takes so long. Because I was gonna say, originally the issue I had with editing was the fact that I just didn't like watching myself back, and I didn't like listening to my own voice because it's just awkward. But I'm like very much over that now. Like I actually got over that through live streaming. One way for anybody that actually could use the tip, one way I actually got over like listening to my own voice is I always monitor my audio. Like ever since I started live streaming, I'm very intentional. Like I have to hear my audio how it sounds. Especially for my mic, because sometimes I be peaking and stuff like that and I just don't even know. So I actually I think through monitoring myself over time, I got used to hearing my own voice. So now I can hear my own voice like on a recording or something like that. It just sounds normal to me. But it was very many years that was not the case. Even at me being like I used to be a vocal performance like major. I studied voice for a long time, and I used to hate listening to my like own recordings of myself. I couldn't stand it, but now I'm used to it. So that's one thing that I tackled. The other thing that I tackled was just watching myself back, which can be a little bit awkward sometimes, but I mean that just comes with time. So those two things are good, but even then I still feel like editing takes a long time. I guess maybe if you edit in like 2x 3x speed or something, I don't know all the tips. And I don't feel as motivated to learn like editing software as I do to learn my live streaming equipment, like live streaming tech. So I don't know. But Descript is a nice middle ground because I can pretty much just read. Like I don't even have to be listening to the audio. I can just go through here and read, and I can figure out a lot of stuff just by reading through it. I can tell where I messed up. I can tell if I want to take a whole cutout, or I can say like, oh, maybe I found a spot that I messed up on. I don't have to listen to the whole entire stretch just to find where to cut it. I can just, as I'm looking through here, I'm like, oh, I could just spot check, listen to a certain section, and then just delete that section. I don't gotta, you know what I mean? I don't know. I just feel like it's faster. And I really, 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 truly do adore like this. Now you can still do timeline editing in Descripts. They have the timeline here, and the timeline is overlaid with the captions. But I don't use. I mean, I don't really use the timeline like that at this point. Um, this video was simple because all I did was pretty much just sit in front of the camera and talk directly to the camera. Basically, I just went into my. I was here with no chat. Um, is it is it good to do git commit dash am dash? I mean, let's see. You got is that parentheses and git push dash dash force? Why are you force pushing? That's a I would never do all that in one. I would never do all that in one go. That's way too many and why are you making a empty commit message? Is dash A in a min flag? I don't think it's I personally don't think it's good to do that unless it sounds like a very special use case. But no, don't do that. Don't do that. Great answer. Don't do that. So y'all look, I've been doing version control since I first got in tech. So like I created my GitHub account in 2014. I never thought I would see the day where I would feel like thinking about my GitHub account made me feel old. But yeah, so the thing is, even though I've been using Git for so long and I teach people how to use Git, like I I believe in better safe than sorry. So I have been noticing a lot, especially in recent years and different boot camps and programs and stuff that are out there that like people don't even know what they're doing. They're just like using these commands and they didn't make it up. Like somebody taught them to use this. One of the things that gets on my nerves, get add dot, get add dot, get add dot. You don't even know what that means. Like literally, oh my god, I could go on a whole rant for a whole day just talking about why you should not do get add dot if you don't know what you're doing. Um, so yeah. Now I'm not gonna say like if you have when you have experience, you do all kinds of stuff. You know what I mean? I learned like a lot more intricate commands to use. It's a lot of stuff that I used to use on a daily basis when I was on a bigger team, a more like a really a high tech team with a high tech setup. Like we had all kind of shortcuts and everything. Like I had different strategies that I learned from other coworkers. Um, there was this guy, like there's this guy in my like local tech network who was just like known for being like just he's known for being like a guru at Git, which he would never like himself actually call himself. Like he's very humble, but we all always like know him as like the person that can get you out of any Git issue, like any Git problem you could ever run into. He knows the answer out. So, anyways, I actually got to work with him on at one of my companies, which was so sweet because I was like, yes, we got the Git master. He's here in my own personal office, and when I when I, when I mess it all up, I could just come sit down. Cause Git it gets complicated over after a while, because right now, like today, what I showed is just simple. That's a simple workflow, and even if that's your first time around, that's a simple workflow. But um when you have a huge code base and you got all kind of different branching strategies, and say you do accidentally commit something that you didn't mean to commit, because we do that all the time. Like, you always need to undo things or redo things and fix things, and there's, more complicated ways. Like, I think what I ran into one time is, now Git lets you squash the commits in the PR. But back when I first did, like when I did my very first open source contribution, like to another project, I had to squash my commits. I did not know the. I'm like, what is this? I don't know how to squash commits. Because at that point in time, I had never done anything other than worked on. I always committed and worked with the projects, worked on the repos that I owned directly or that I was a collaborator on. So when I did my first like full open source contribution, that was like, hey, okay, we need you to fork this. And then I just remember I think I had to squash cherry pick and squash the cherry pick and squash commits. And I'm just like, and then now that is a case where you end up having a force push. I think you end up having a force push after you squash the commits. And so it's like there's different circumstances where you need these other little commands, but it comes with time and it comes with experience, and you can't be afraid to actually use it. Go through the process. Like, I think if you work on a full-time team, then and that 9 times out of 10 they use version control, and you get that experience, you get that on the job experience. But if you are still early in your career, or if maybe you freelance, or like me, I do a lot of solo work now, so I like being able to contribute to other projects because it gives me a way to continue to like challenge myself technically with an outside entity, right? Like, it gives me something to work on and aspire to. It also gives me something to contribute to. So I don't know. But yeah, get add dot is like my pet peeve. We gonna talk about that one day. Why you should never use get add dot. You know what? I could literally make a video about that right now. Should I though? I don't know. Thank you for that good question though, Supsa, and welcome. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for stopping by. Yeah, don't do that, y'all. Don't do that. Don't do get add dot either. Y'all would notice that I do try to the best of my ability. I try to demonstrate good Git processes. Like, I try to demonstrate what I want my students to learn. So that's why you would notice that even in the case where I can technically do a get add dot, I'm not going to. I'm most likely going to I'm going to default to the standard version of a command in the way that I recommend, like that I recommend somebody actually do it. Because and you would notice I also use get status a lot. I know what the dang on status is. 9 times out of 10, I know what the status is because I've been doing this for so long. I know what this status is going to be after I do this. But you know why I still do a get status? Because it's possible that I don't know, because I could have F'd something up. This whole time earlier, I literally sat here and thought I made a fork and cloned the fork. Clearly, I didn't. And I was able to go back in my history to see that I didn't. But it was just like, I was so convinced. So, I always recommend to my students, like, use get status. And that's how I was taught too. Like, my earlier mentor from when I first got into tech, like when I was doing front end, that's who I learned version control from originally. So I always was taught, like, okay, just do your, like, get status doesn't cost you anything. Just do a get status. And actually, if you do these very often, you will start to learn more about and understand more about how the process is supposed to go. And then if something goes wrong, you know what I mean? So these different errors, like, I know it can be, if you get errors or when you get this feedback, it can be confusing sometimes to work with when you first get started, but you need to start reading these and understanding them. realistically, when it comes to Git, the output that you get from the CLI is pretty helpful. Um, and it's getting better over time because this has definitely gotten better just in how it's formatted and how conversational it is, how helpful it is in the amount of time since I've been using version control. I feel like the messages have gotten helpful. The only things that you will probably see me kind of, what's the word, um, quote unquote, taking a shortcut on is you will see that I do have like aliases and stuff set up for Git. So like instead of, I was doing the long commands this time, but like instead of git checkout, I can just gco -b whatever my branch name is, right? It's just a shortcut. Um, I did a workshop last year, which was setting up the terminal. So I use Z Shell, oh my ZSH. That's what I use. So that's how I have certain formatting for my terminal and things like that. I have the formatting for the prompts, and then I also have some plugins that are enabled. So you would notice that, but otherwise, I don't know. I'm very particular, and we are about to go through like the very first technical module in the bootcamp is version control. So we are definitely about to dive into version control in the next month. So I'm going to be going through all of this stuff again very, very, very soon. Let's see. I never used git add out of 7+ years of doing it. I also never stage files. I use status like a rat eating cheese. Um, you have to do some type of okay. I don't even want to guess because it's like a million other ways you could be adding your files and everything. But yeah, this is, I mean, I always teach people to go through this process. This like the most straightforward process. Once you get this process down and you really understand why you're doing those steps, then yes, then you can understand and go off and like I learned a lot of um I learned a lot of nice like Git tricks from some coworkers over the years. But I don't use them as much because they help a lot more when they helped a lot more when I was working on a huge code base and I really was actually trying to save time. But now, I can just take it a little easy. But it's a back and forth thing. I'm always trying to learn something new with Git though. My one of my big goals that y'all will see me working on now when it comes to Git is that you will notice me opening the man pages a lot. So, um, like Git help, commit. So y'all see that I've been like trying to start opening the man pages more. And actually, if I don't know how to do something, or if I'm trying to remember how to do something, I'll come here to figure out what the flag means or something like that. So, like Supsa was saying earlier, like Git, what did you say? Git commit -am. A is all, and M is the message. As opposed to there's --amend. So like that's the only time I would like give a blank a blank commit message, maybe, but that's a whole process you typically go through. But yeah, so this is something like I feel like I usually Google for something, but I feel like it's definitely a skill in and of itself just to be able to quickly roll through the man pages and like find the answer to something, and get more comfortable with the original documentation, how it's formatted and everything. Or sometimes I come here to do research, just do a little research. I might be like, oh wait, like Supsa said earlier, like, oh, -a-m, or -am, or whatever the case may be. Like if I want to come in and see what the flags mean, then I can come and look in here. or what's the syntax for the actual command. So that's one thing that's just been a little thing that y'all will see. I will sometimes go out of my way to try to find something that way, just so I can get more comfortable with it. It can become first nature. Also use branches. Branches are get status, get diff. Yeah, get diff is a nice option too. Um yeah, but we actually went through the process we went through earlier involved us using a branch, which this is the branch that we created. So we actually I just showed like going through from the main organization. See, so you had the main organization repository here. I forked this repo into my own account. Yeah, I forked this repo into my own account. I made a branch here, and this branch is the one that was merged into this PR that's closed now. And then I also showed how you can continue to make changes to your contributions until you get it into the right state before it can be merged by the maintainers. So again, that's a common workflow. And I know that since we are starting off Hacktoberfest today, I want to make sure everyone has like some basic fundamentals that you might need getting through the process. So yeah, and Soupsa, I appreciate the different comments and stuff too. I think in this case, when this part of so I would say like part of what I've seen as an issue is like those of us that are experienced, we tend to give like really complicated ways of doing things to beginners who have no idea what, like, it's a lot of times when I have students that they don't even understand how to read a command in the command line. Like they don't understand the structure of this. They don't understand like any of the syntax, any of the formatting, how the commands are, like what this means. They don't understand literally any of what they're typing. They're just like blindly typing whatever somebody tells them to type. So like for example, that's why that get add dot really gets to me, because okay, I felt my head about to pop. I don't even want to go through it, but it's just most of the time when people are using get add dot, they're adding things that should not get added. And then once they go and find out that they have stuff in staging, they're just blindly staging things, blindly committing things, and typically committing things that don't need to be committed at all. Like it doesn't make sense to try to overexpose somebody in that type of situation. And like the whole thing, like I've literally seen people, like I remember one lady I worked with, her son's a software engineer. She was like starting a second career or whatever, and he told her like some complicated git commit -am command to use, and I'm like, you don't need. She was like, what does this mean? She been using it, but she was like, what does this mean? And she literally didn't know what it meant at all. She didn't understand what she was doing with it. And I was like, this is just not necessarily the best approach to take based on what you're trying to do, ma'am. So I had to break the command down to her, right? I had to break down all the components, explain what they mean. And even that still, for the first couple times around, it's like, okay. And I'm speaking from experience too, right? Because I went through this. I'm like, I'm always learning new stuff with Git, but I'm very comfortable with it now. Like it doesn't really freak me out. But back in the day, let me forget my commit message. Like if you do like git commit, and then you forget like to put the message on there, and then it just like opens up Vim, and then I'm stuck in Vim, and I don't know how to use Vim, and I can never remember the commands to get out of there. Like that used to just be a whole process for me. I had a sticky note on my desk with all the shortcuts I needed, all the keys I needed to get out of them. But yeah, so it's like I've overcome a lot of my own little challenges. So now I feel more comfortable with it, but I still think that's because I was taught it very like core concepts throughout the process, and that was coming from very senior engineers who were like cognizant of like teaching to my skill level and allowing me to be able to incrementally add on to the concepts. Like you don't really want people drinking from the fire hose all the time. Git patch apply is useful. You can easily use it to pop open a parallel experiment in a different repo without the overhead of a branch. Interesting. I don't not Git diff tool. No, I don't think I really use that ever. Okay. I think I got through all the comments though. So yeah, I don't know. Nice little I feel very passionately. I feel very passionately about especially learning Git. Learning Git and learning the how to use Git from the command line. Those are skills that are extremely important. Um there's a whole nother side of it that is like, well, do you get judged for using Git from the command line versus not, and da 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 da. Like that is separate to me. That is completely separate from just the idea that in reality, in our jobs as software engineers, I think 9 times out of 10 it helps to know how to use the command line. Almost always that skill comes back. So I don't use like the GUI or anything like that because I literally don't know how to use the GitHub GUI. Um, I don't use like these. Sometimes maybe if it's like a crazy diff, I might try to use the tools that are in like the tools that are in the editors or in the IDEs, but like I just don't, because I just don't. I just prefer my command line. Like I know how to go through the flow. I know how to find the information I need. Sometimes this just too much for me. Um oh, I'm over here showing y'all like y'all can see. But I like this just be too much for me sometimes. Like um you can actually download. I don't know, do they still maintain that you could download the GitHub GUI and then you could do everything visually, but I just don't like it. And then the reason why I don't teach it is because, again, I still feel like there is a lot of value to learning to use the command line because there's way more things than just Git that we do from the command line in software engineering. Um, 9 times out of 10, like on my last big software team, we spent half our time on the command line because from the command line, that was pretty much where we did all of our different actions throughout the day. Like that's where we deployed from. That's where we spun up like test environments, and there's a lot of stuff that we did from the command line. So being comfortable on the command line and being able to, understand how the commands work and how to install things, and that makes a big deal. That makes a big difference. And yeah, I know like the more quote unquote old school that you are, the more likely you are to not use like um most of the GUIs and everything because some of us been around since before those were a thing. Um so yeah, I'm like I never I if somebody wants to use the GitHub GUI, okay, perfectly, like go ahead. But when I got into my very first like full-time software job, my I was doing we did different different tech stacks because it was an agency, so we worked on a lot of different projects, but our core was Ruby on Rails. So it was like my engineering lead was very specific. He was like our head of engineering or whatever, but he was very specific in that did not like we were only allowed to use an IDE. Not an IDE. We're only allowed to use a text editor in the command line, and that was like by design. But yeah, that was by design. Um, because when you have the IDE, like the IDE is great, and like VS Code is very lightweight for IDE, but when you have an IDE, the IDE you just be clicking buttons, just clicking buttons, just clicking buttons. Don't even know what to do. I did a whole Java boot camp, did projects, was working on projects, and literally had never compiled Java from the command line before. So you know what happens? I was using Heroku. I was trying to deploy this Java project to Heroku. I wrote my very first full stack application that I personally designed using Java and JavaScript. This was a part of my transition. I can literally go show you this repo. It's called Detroit. We should get this back run. We should get this back up. It's called Detroit Ipsum. Wait, what happened to my Detroit Ipsum? Hold on, let's go. But yeah, it's called Detroit Ipsum. Pretty sure that's what it's called anyway. Ipsum. There we go. So literally, this is the project. I'm gonna show you. I literally had this project. I got stuck. I got stuck for a few months where I could not deploy my project to Heroku because I was trying to get the Heroku like set up to work and it just wasn't working. I didn't know why. And it all stemmed from the fact that I didn't understand what it looks like to compile Java from the command line. So in Heroku, I didn't realize that they were just giving us the command to run to compile the app and where it needed to go. And it was just so funny because then I was like, I had to walk away after a while. And then one day I was like, I finally saw like how it looks to compile the code from the command line. I said, "Oh shoot, that's what that was on Heroku." Now that I know what it looks like, and now that I know how what different components I'm actually looking at, then I understood which one of them I had to actually fix in order to get my deploy to work. Like, I don't know, that's probably the most obscure story that I could possibly tell, but I literally, because I never we were in Eclipse the whole boot camp, obviously, and there was just like, I get it. My teacher's probably thinking like, why would you would never need to do that, so why would I show you how to compile it from the command line? Like, we just go in Eclipse. But sometimes people aren't really realizing that there's conceptual information that people can miss due to learning like too many abstraction layers without learning the fundamentals. So I feel like I'm getting on and off the soapbox. But no, for real, because I'm trying to see now. Okay. Heroku deployment is right here. This is the real time skip I'm talking about right here. April 24th. I was trying to test out the configurations. And then I didn't come back till September. I was about to say like 6 months, but dang, it was dang near 6 months for real. I got stuck and I was just like, and I like, let me see, what was I changing? See, I didn't know what I was looking at. I didn't know what this meant. I didn't know what none of this meant. I was just like, they say put this in the file. I didn't know what none of this was. Then I can't remember. I just happened to end up like seeing how you compile Java from the command line. Then I was like, oh, that's what this is. It was something about where my file was being built so that Heroku knew where to grab it from. But it's like, I be telling this story. It's like, I promise I'm not making this up. Like this, you pure receipts right here. Oh, my more file was being ignored. This is just so interesting, right? Like I learned through this, but I learned the hard way for sure. So anyways, I'm done. Learn Emacs, learn Eclipse, learn Notepad++, learn Sublime, learn Atom, learn JetBrains, learn VS Code. Yeah, every time it's gonna be something different, but it's all about the fundamentals. I will always harp on the fundamentals. You have to know like what you are doing. So that was a prime example, because I was looking at this file and they told me like, hey, here's what you need to change. Dang, I thought I was gonna pop that file back open. Let's go back in here real quick because I'm gonna show you the actual file. I promise you, I was heated on this day. I was heated. I was like, because I got my whole project working. I'm so excited. Like, yes. And then I can't get it to deploy. It's the proc file. Oh, that's it. That's all that's in there. Because there's no other collapsed lines. So, yeah. But, yeah, I should come back and I should redeploy this. This was a nice little project to have. It's just a little lorem ipsum generator, but I was converting it over to I think I came in to convert it to just a JavaScript project because there's really no point in it having a Java backend. I just did that because I was learning Java. Like, we couldn't be full stack in 2016. You couldn't be a full stack JavaScript. You can't be a full stack JavaScript developer in 2016. There was no such thing. I wanted to be full stack, so I had to learn a back end language. I learned Java, obviously. Java's my back end language, my first back end language, primary back end language, but I do love JavaScript. So I was planning on going back and refactoring my project over into JavaScript, and then they should be able to actually be deployed over GitHub pages. So yeah. At this point though, I have rambled on for probably like another hour, but I do appreciate y'all coming and participating and giving comments as well. Tomorrow's Wednesday. It's gonna be a long day tomorrow, so we'll see if I get back online. I am planning on it, but I know I have to sit on a like on a call that happens in the evening, and it's like 4-hour session. So and I have a breakfast that I'm supposed to be going to in the morning, so, and then all the things in between. So, but yeah, hopefully I'll see y'all tomorrow. If not, we'll keep it going. I'm doing pretty good. I'm getting back to like multiple streams a week, and eventually I think by the end of the year we'll be solidly at least 5 streams a week. I feel like sometimes I do enjoy having the weekends off, but I'm way more consistent now, and I really appreciate that. I think I have a way higher tolerance for pushing through and getting my streams done than I had previously. But I'm also working very hard to manage my energy a lot better. So, all that being said, I hope everybody has a good night, and I will see y'all tomorrow or the day after.